عباس یا ابا الفضل العباس سقائے حرم رکھ لینا فرم ہم در پہ تمہارے آئے ہیں مولا 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 تم باب حوائج ہو روزے پہ انہیں بھی بلوا لو مولا تم باب حوائج ہو روزے پہ انہیں بھی بلوا لو غربت کی سبب جو آ نہ سکے غربت کی سبب جو آ نہ سکے ہم ان کے عریض لائے ہیں عباس عباس یا ابا الفضل العباس سقائے حرم رکھ لینا فرم ہم در پہ تمہارے آئے ہیں کاکا کے تماچے روتی ہے زندہ کی خاک پہ سوتی ہے کاکا کے تماچے روتی ہے زندہ کی خاک پہ سوتی ہے بجھ جائے پیاس سکینہ کی بجھ جائے پیاس سکینہ کی ہم آنکھ میں آنسو لائے ہیں عباس عباس یا ابا الفضل العباس سقائے حرم رکھ لینا فرم ہم در پہ تمہارے آئے ہیں تم بھی نہیں ہم کو ٹکرانا تم بھی نہیں ہم کو ٹکرانا ہم دنیا کے ٹکرائے ہیں عباس عباس یا ابا الفضل العباس صلوات
اور محمد وآل محمد صلوات اے رات نہ ڈھلنا کہ اجر جائے گی زینب اے رات نہ ڈھلنا کہ اجر جائے گی زینب بائی سے دم صبح بچھر جائے گی زینب سونے دے سکینہ کو کہ پھر سو نہ سکے گی رونا بھی جو چاہے گی تو کہ پھر رو نہ سکے گی اصغر سے ملاقات تو پھر ہو نہ سکے گی. اے رات نہ ڈھلنا کہ اجر جائے گی زینب. گھبرائے ہوئے لال ہے سہمی ہوئی مائیں. جی بھر کے میں دے دوں علی اکبر کو دعائیں. لینا ہے ابھی اونو محمد کی بھلائیں. اے رات نہ ڈھلنا کہ اجر جائے گی زینب. اے رات بکھر جا تیرے بس میں ہے جہاں تک. مٹ جائیں گے کل آل پیمبر کی نشاں تک. باقی ہے یہ منظر اکبر کی اذاں تک. اے رات نہ ڈھلنا کہ اجر جائے گی زینب. باقی ہے ابھی آل محمد کا سفینہ. بیٹی کے سلانے کو ہے شبیر کا سینہ. جھولا علی اصغر کا جھولاتی ہے سکینہ. اے رات نہ ڈھلنا کہ اجر جائے گی زینب. ہر چاند سے بچوں کی ابھی پیاس ہے باقی. کچھ آنکھ میں حسرت ہے تو کچھ آس ہے باقی. لیکن میرا بھائی میرا عباس ہے باقی. اے رات نہ ڈھلنا کہ اجر جائے گی زینب، کل کون سنے گا یہ میری آہ بکا بھی، ہوگا تہ خنجر میرے بھائی کا گلا بھی، خیمہ تو خجا سر پہ نہ ہوگی یہ ردا بھی، اے رات نہ ڈھلنا کہ اجر جائے گی زینب، وائی سے دم صبح بچھر جائے گی زینب، اور محمد وآل محمد صلوات۔
محمد وآل محمد صلوات۔ دہائی دہائی خدا را دہائی، یہ دشت بلا میں ہے کیسی تباہی، بہایا ہے کس نے یہ خون محمد، قیامت یہ ڈھائی ہے کس نے الہی، جوانوں بزرگوں کو مارا گیا ہے، شہیدوں میں شامل ہے ننھا سپاہی، حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین، حسین الشہید، کیا جشن برپا یوں اہل حوث نے، شہیدوں کے لاشوں پہ ڈنکے بجائے، جلا ڈال آل محمد کے خیمے، سکینہ کے منہ پر تماچے لگائے، جو بیمار تھا اس کا بستر نہ چھوڑا، نبی زادیوں پر بھی درے چلائے، حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین، حسین شہید، اٹھی اپنے مرکد سے بنت محمد، سیاہ شب کی چادر میں چہرہ چھپا کر گئی کربلا میں، تو اس نے یہ دیکھا ہے بوسیدہ کرتے میں ایک لاش بے سر، بدن سارا تیروں سے چلنی پرا ہے، لہو میں ہے ڈوبا ہوا سارا پیکر، حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین، حسین شہید شہید، तरप कर वो चिल्लाई शबीर बेटा, लहू में नहाए हो सर भी जुदा है, तबर किसने मारा, तबर किसने मारे है सारे बदन पर, ये तीरों पे किसने जनाजा रखा है, कहाँ है मेरा लाल अब्बास बोलो, मैं पूछूंगी उससे ये कैसे हुआ है, हुसैन अल गरीब अल गरीब अल हुसैन, हुसैन शहीद शहीद अल हुसैन, मुहम्मद व आल मुहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु।
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فانطلقا حتى إذا ركبا في السفينة خرقها قال أخرقتها لتغرق أهلها لقد جئت شيئا إمرا. قال ألم أقل إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. قال لا تؤاخذني بما نسيت ولا ترهقني من أمري عسرا. فانطلقا حتى إذا لقيا غلاما فقتله قال أقتلت نفسا زكية بغير نفس لقد جئت شيئا نكرا. قال ألم أقل لك إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. قال إن سألتك عن شيء بعدها فلا تصاحبني قد بلغت من لدني عذرا. فانطلقا حتى إذا أتيا أهل قرية استطعما أهلها فأبوا أن يضيفوهما فوجدا فيها جدارا يريد أن ينقض فأقامه. قال لو شئت لاتخذت عليه أجرا. صدق الله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. I recited verses from Surah Al-Kahf, verse number 71 to 77. These verses talk about the journey of Prophet Musa and Hazrat Khidr alayhi salam. The verses mention the three actions of Hazrat Khidr and how it left Prophet Musa alayhi salam questioning them in spite of him having promised Khidr that he would bear with him patiently. Being a prophet, his conscience did not let him keep silent for the apparently wrong actions. The three incidences were when the two of them embarked on a ship and Hazrat Khidr made a hole on the ship. The second one was when they met a young boy and Hazrat Khidr killed him. The third one was where they reached a town and asked for the people for food and they refused. Yet when they found a wall that was broken, they made it. The question comes, what can we learn from this story? The first thing is, we must not make haste to judge when we see some unpleasant things happening in our lives. All of us are going to be tested, and many a times we question and are not pleased with it, but later we understand the mercy of Allah in it. The second thing is the humility of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. His ego did not stop him from accepting the reality behind the incidences that he did not have knowledge of. The third thing is, just like Musa alayhi salam could not instantly comprehend what Hazrat Khidr alayhi salam did, there are many laws in our Sharia where we don't understand, but we should know what the wisdom is behind, and later we come to know what the wisdom was. The tragedy of Karbala is indeed heart-wrenching, and it was Imam Hussein alayhi salam who willingly sacrificed everything, including himself, in order to revive Islam. Fully aware, Bibi Zainab, fully aware of the wisdom of Allah, said to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad when she was asked in Kufa, "What do you see?" She said, "I see nothing but beauty." Today the whole world knows who is Hussein and what he stood for. Where is Ibn Ziyad? Where is Yazid? There is no trace of them. Truth prevails. In these hard times, let's pray for the quick reappearance of the 12th Imam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
ભાઈઓને વિનંતી કરવામાં આવે છે કે લોકો બધા સાથે આગળ આવે તો જે લોકો હમ ના આવે છે લોકો આસાનીથી કરી શકે. Brothers are requested to all move in front so that those who are coming in late can easily access seating. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
مالك يوم Inshallah, before we start tonight, we've been requested, as it is the night of the 10th of Muharram, there are people all around the world that are in need of dua, in need of hajat, and especially as a mu'min that's very sick and in need of your dua. So inshallah, we can join hands together and give her the surah that's mubarakah for Amman Yujibu, inshallah, 5 times for tonight, for your hajat as well, for the hajat of all the mu'mineen and the mu'minat around the world. We want to pray to Allah that He accepts our du'as, inshallah, all together 5 times. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And yujibul ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه أمن يجيب المضطر أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف عنا السوء والبلاء يا الله ببركة الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على سيدنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبا القاسم محمد. اللهم صل وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، لا سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. أما بعد، يقول الله في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وجاء أخوة يوسف فدخلوا عليه فعرفهم وهم له منكرون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. And the brothers of Yusuf came, and they entered upon him, and he recognized them, but he was to them unknown. The first of our loud salawats in honor of the greatest man to walk this earth, Al-Habib al-Mustafa Muhammad. Allah. The second in honor of the greatest lady to walk this earth, Al-Hawra'u al-Batulati Fatima. Allah. The third with your loudest voices in honor of our Imam, Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. Allah. In the final night, we want to elude our intellect towards understanding Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman in a different lens. As in, when we talk about Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, many a times we'll find ourselves in different arguments, discussions, because there's so many different ways we can look at Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. As an example, we look at him to be the savior, and we can have discussions and dialogue with people from other faiths, other sects within Islam, people that believe in a second coming of Isa ibn Maryam. We can have discussions on the basis that he's a savior for humanity, that he will return, and what's the differences that we may have with other people, and what are the similarities. And that's a very interesting dialogue and debate, and one that we should discuss further. Another part we can look at within Shia school of thought, we can have discussions that revolve around, for example, the signs of the reappearance of the Imam. As in, we can discuss what are we looking for in order for us to better understand that the time has come closer towards the reappearance of the Imam. We look at the signs and we'll say to ourselves, let's categorize them. What are the major signs of the appearance of the Imam? What are the signs that might be a little bit ambiguous? As in, can it have a different meaning than the meaning that are in the books? Or can we look at it into more clarity? So then another aspect is looking at the signs prior to his arrival. Another lens we can look at the Imam of our time is a lens whereby when he arrives, what is he going to be doing? What is he going to achieve? What are the different movements that he's going to undergo and partake in? Where will he go towards? Who is he going to fight? Where can we assist him? Who will be those that will come from different parts of the world? What flags do I have to look for? Which flags do I have to go under? And if I can't go towards him, is there any other way that I can assist him? And that's another lens we can look at. Then there's other lens saying that, hold on, all of a sudden we understand that we are awaiting the Imam. There's a discussion revolving around, do we just wait for a person in the sense that we're waiting for someone to come back? Like as an example, if a father was to leave the house, you'll just wait for him to return passively? Or is there an aspect of actively waiting for the Imam? As in, do we do something in preparation of the Imam within ourselves, within communities, within societies, within our ummah, in preparation of the Imam? Or is our understanding solely to do with the fact that we are waiting for him? Whenever he comes, then we'll come with him and arise with him and support him? Or is there a different understanding of awaiting the Imam? So these are all different lenses. But you'll find these lenses often, when discussed, when looked into, and when explored, you'll find at the first notion you've already skipped the first part of the Imam's occultation, which is when you ask, and we are asked, if you're saying that your Imam is here, that he is alive, where is he? And the reply is always that he is in ghaiba. But often at times we don't discuss ghaiba, do we? We often discuss all those other lenses. What do we do? What to look for? Sometimes we come into discussions as in the books, what does it say? How does the Imam look? You know, is the mole on his cheek on the right or the left? How tall is the Imam? What's the color of his face, for example? What color turban is he going to be wearing? Does he come out with shirt and pants, or is he going to be wearing a dishdasha, for example? And these are the discussions that people have, and often elude the fact, as important as each and every one of these discussions are, and each and every one of these lenses that have an importance, there's a discussion which is often overlooked, which is the discussion of ghaiba in itself. Because many other times we ask people, what's ghaiba mean? And the reply often is, it's occultation. So what does occultation mean? Often the word used hand in hand with occultation is the Imam is in hiding. So tonight we're going to explore this, to try to understand more about what the Imam is doing. First and foremost, we want to look at the instance. What's the difference between the minor occultation and the major occultation? As in, why is there a minor, why is there a major? What's the difference between them if the Imam was in occultation? Number one. Number two, we want to explore the aspect of where is the Imam at the moment. And we discover all these different ara, these things that come forward, of opinions suggesting where the Imam could be at this very moment in time. Number three, we want to discuss particular terminologies to do with this concept of ghaiba. And will these terminologies indicate to us more about this particular concept, to give us a different lens of how to look towards this particular concept of ghaiba, the understanding of ghaiba? Will we change our thought process when it comes to this? And number four, we want to look at Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman as an inheritor to the previous prophets. What are the similarities between him and previous prophets? And what can we learn from those similarities when it comes to the concept of ghaiba in order for us to best prepare for the Imam of my time? And finally, we want to look at all these concepts taken. How is it that I, knowing what I will find out, to connect with the Imam in the best way possible? So inshallah, we can start this topic of utmost importance of our Imam with blessing of a majlis with allow salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the first and foremost, what's the difference? We often hear at times there's minor occultation, ghaibatul sughra and ghaibatul kubra. People come forward and say, well, ghaibatul sughra is the fact that the Imam, once he appeared, he was amongst the people, and then when he left, then the major occultation started. Do we hear this? That he came, then a few years, then he went into the major ghaiba. So what's the difference? How long was the Imam out? Interacting with the people, being amongst the people. How many years? The understanding that we have is that Imam was born 255 after Hijrah. Keep the dates. His father, Imam Hassan al-Askari, dies 260 AH. So the Imam's how old? 5 years old. Imam appeared once and once only to the people. Once. And that's to pray upon his father's body. When he would be praying on his father's body, the people of the time, the political parties, the Bani Abbas would see that he is the promised. We never knew there was a son to Hassan al-Askari. So after Salah, make sure you follow him and ensure that he doesn't leave his house alive. But we understand 260 after Hijrah, after praying on his father, he returns back towards the house. followed by these army or henchmen. And they follow him into something called a sirdab, a basement, but they do not find an existence for him in there anymore. From that year, 200 and, what did we say? 60 after Hijrah, until 329 is the period known as the Minor Occultation. Now, what's the difference now? If we've only understood that we've seen him once. What's this 260 to 329? You know, just under 70 years, which is the Minor Occultation. The scholars say it's the Minor Occultation because of one purpose. Because for those 70 odd years, the Imam, we had direct contact through the wukala of the Imam. As in the Imam during that period of 70 years or 69 years, we had 4 people that would be directly relating everything to and from the Imam to us. So there was a direct connection. Every time you needed to contact the Imam, have questions for the Imam, give the wealth towards the Imam, there is a direct contact. 4 representatives of Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. We'd have one, he would pass away, the next one would come, pass away, next one would come, until the 4th. When the 4th passes away, which was the year 329 AH, when he passes, so does our connection directly with the Imam. That's when the start of the major occultation begins. See the difference? Minor and the major. Minor, we had direct contact through personalities. The major, we don't have a direct contact. And that's why we have the tradition from the 4th wakil, which was the last one, that after me, there will be no one that will be directly in contact with the Imam. So he gives us a guideline of how to go about following these people, which we follow now, which are the maraja. The criteria, how to follow, etc. Detailed discussion, not our discussion for tonight. The discussion tonight, next one, is where is the Imam? If we understood that he's still alive, that the minor occultation finishes just under 70 years, major occultation is still going till today. Where then is the Imam? Question. There's different opinions. One of them come forward and say, well, we understand from what's happening, we allude to the fact that the Imam could be in a place where we refer to, when we see in the news, it's called the Bermuda Triangle, amongst many other suggestions. And they would ask the people, well, why the Bermuda Triangle? And they would say, well, anything that goes in doesn't come out. Therefore, we understand that the Imam is there. Number 2, there's an opinion, and this is one that's quite popular actually, suggesting that the Imam in the traditions is in a place called Al-Jaziratul Khadra. Anyone heard this? The Imam is in a green island. So all of a sudden we have a tradition that says the Imam is in a green island. What's going on? So when we go deeper into the history books, we'll find ever since the time of Rasulullah, there was always an instance where they knew a person that will be awaited, that will eradicate tyranny, will go against oppression, will stand against the rulers of the time, will be called Al-Mahdi Al-Muntazar. So you'll find during the generations, every time a person comes, they will say, you know what, it's a popular name, let me call my son Mahdi. My children, Mahdi. My grandchildren, Mahdi. So when you find Islam as it's expanding, when it enters the land of Spain, as you know, Islam came from the Middle East, most of which is deserts. When they entered into Spain, Spain was a very green land. In the Fatimid dynasty, when they entered Spain, there was a ruler, the Fatimid dynasty, that was called Al-Mahdi. So when they begin to write, Al-Andalus, is what's referred to, is translated into the green land, or the green country, or the green island. So when they entered, they'll find all of a sudden there's a ruler of the time called Al-Mahdi, inside what? A land which is called the Green Land, or the Green Island. So as the historians write this down, people, as they transfer the history from one century to another, they write, there is Al-Mahdi, which is in the Green Island, or the Green Continent. And then you'll find the history books now refer that Mahdi to the Mahdi of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. Misconception. So then all of a sudden, if we understand if the Imam is not in hiding, is not in a green island, is not in the Bermuda Triangle, where then is the Imam? Question. Is he in hiding? The terminologies should allude to the fact of exactly what's occurring at this very current time, which is ghaiba in itself. Someone looks at the etymology of ghaiba. What does it mean? Because we come with the understanding of that there is an aspect of the Imam hiding, or the Imam is in hiding. Ghaiba means hidden. Ghaiba. If we want to translate it in a different light, let's say ghaiba means veiled from your knowledge. Ghaib an adhanina, for example. Ghaib, the opposite is apparent all of a sudden, because if he's hidden from your knowledge, the opposite of that is he's apparent. That veil is removed of who he is, who he isn't. So those are two opposites, yes? Need everyone's close attention to this. Hidden, ghaib, veiled from your knowledge. Apparent, that veil is removed and you recognize him. Now there's something in the middle, which is present. Now, question. Can the Imam be present and ghaib from our knowledge? Yes? The Imam can be present, but ghaib from us. So if I told you, where's the Imam? He could be in this very hall. But how do I know the Imam is not here? Because I don't know what the Imam looks like. If he's amongst us or not. Because his image is hidden from me. His personality and presence and aura is hidden from my knowledge. Doesn't mean he's not present. When the Imam comes, what's the word that's used? Dhuhur, isn't it? Which means what? Made apparent. Dhahara linnas. Made apparent. Meaning he could have been around us. All of a sudden, the knowledge is given to us that this is the Imam. And that's why we have tradition saying that when the Imam comes and reveals himself, people everywhere would say, I've seen that person's face. I've come across this person. This person's assisted me when I most needed it, or most needed it. The understanding is that the Imam is hiding somewhere. He's amongst us. But hidden in the aspect of ghaib from our knowledge. So how do we understand this better from the Holy Quran? Someone says, well, can you prove it more so? The Imam is in the inheritor of the prophets in so many different ways. So many different ways. I'll give you a few examples before we get to the most specific to ghaiba. Imam has a comparative literature that's written about him, Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman, and Nabi Allah Musa, for example. For the comparative literature, they say on one issue that Musa comes when Fir'aun reaches the pinnacle of oppression. Likewise, Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman will come when oppression is at its peak. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. Pinnacle of oppression. Imam comes. Another comparison. The mother of Musa, they were trying to find the savior at the time of Fir'aun in the wombs of the mothers. They would see anyone that would be pregnant and they'd keep an eye. If a boy was born, they would kill it. And if a lady or a girl was born, they would let them live. Likewise, at the time of Imam Mahdi, you'll find that they would look towards the family of Imam Hassan al-Askari to see, is there any a person from his family that's pregnant? One of the miracles is, just like the mother of Musa, she did not show that she was pregnant. Likewise, Sayyidina Narjis. That even the auntie would not know that the same night she was giving birth, Imam Hassan al-Askari would tell her, can you assist my wife in giving birth? She would say, which one? As in, which one's pregnant? He would say, Sayyidina Narjis. She says, I have not seen a sign of pregnancy on her. Says, no, it's the miracle of Allah. Another comparative literature. Musa is under the nose of Fir'aun, but he doesn't recognize that that is the awaited savior. Likewise, we have the comparison that the Imam will be there and is known to the people, but is not known as the Savior. But once he appears, they're like, we've seen you the whole time. And there's many cases. That's why he's called the inheritor of the prophets. His lengthy lifespan is like that of Nuh, for example. But there's a tradition that Imam Sadiq alayhi afdal as-salati was-salam, Imam Sadiq would say to Abu Basir, لِلْقَائِمِ شَبَهٌ مِّن Yusuf. Meaning, for the awaited Savior is a comparison to Yusuf. What's the comparison? He would say, which is the most important, is al-ghayba. So all of a sudden we have the comparative literature from the Quran to the aspect and the concept of ghayba of the Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. So let's look. What can we understand now? Understanding that terminology, which is ghayba, meaning hidden, how can we look at the story of Yusuf to better understand that concept of nowadays, to understand where the Imam is, what the Imam's doing, what he's capable of, what our role is. So they say in the story of Yusuf, you'll find in chapter 12 of the Holy Quran, verse 9, the brothers of Yusuf come together and say to each other, let us, because Yusuf has got all the attention from our father, come together and kill Yusuf. Question. They knew it was their brother, didn't they? They knew it was their brother. Did they know that their brother was the Prophet of Allah? They didn't know. That in itself was veiled from them. Had they known that he was the Prophet after their father, would they have killed him? Will they have done what they did? That in itself was veiled. Their own brothers veiled. Concept of ghayb. Then they go on. And the Quran says, and they threw Yusuf in ghayabatul jub. The ghayba, or the hidden aspect of the well. So all of a sudden there's two now ghaybas, let's say, or two veils. The first veil is his personality. They didn't know he was a prophet of Allah. Second veil is a body, physical veil, because he's where? He's in the well. Then the people come, put the bucket down, and all of a sudden they see there's a boy that's been lifted. So the caravan, as they're taking the boy, the brothers come. The Quran, what does it say? They sold their brother for a few coins. Question. We understand the different veils. If they knew he was a prophet, would they have sold him for those small amounts of money? If they would have sold him, they would have made a lot more, had knowing that he was a prophet of God. Likewise, when he was sold in the markets, he would have gone for a lot more, had they known he was a prophet of God. If he was sold at all. Ghayba upon ghayba upon ghayba. Likewise in the jail. When he entered the jail, people in the jail, did they know he was a prophet? But the question now is, what can we learn from this? We understand that his whole life he was in different aspects of being veiled. Different aspects. What do we learn? The Imam is amongst us. That ghayba that he's in, what are the purposes behind it? If we take from the story of Yusuf, Yusuf, even when he was in the jail, he was making them understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, teaching them tawheed, preparing for his government, wasn't he? Even within the jail, he would be making people come towards the religion of Allah, teaching them right from wrong, preparing them in character. So when he attains the position of power, they will be the people that will assist him in his government. Likewise, if we take that example, and we take the understanding that the Imam is in occultation, being hidden, he has more of an opportunity to go wherever he wants and bring forward and bring up the characters of anyone that he chooses, doesn't he? Because if he was known, everyone would be very different towards the Imam. But the fact that he's hidden, he can make sure that he goes towards those people that have that qalb salim, those people with the good hearts that the Imam says, that is the person I want for my government. That's the person that I want to hold my flag. That's the person I want to have a position within my government. Makes it easier, doesn't it? When he's in the concept of ghaiba, hidden from us. To prepare his people, prepare the community, prepare his government. Question. If he now is in ghaiba, is there anywhere in the story of Yusuf? Because we understand that we are of his followers. We say to ourselves, Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman is amongst us. And we understand that now, taking from the concept of ghaiba from the Holy Quran. Now, if we understand that he's amongst us and he's watching us, does he or will he be affected from our actions? We call ourselves of the followers of Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. Can we say that anything that we do he's not affected? As in, if he sees us doing that which is bad, he'll just turn his face and say, may Allah guide them? Or is there anywhere in the Quran that it teaches us that when the Imam sees us performing that thing which displeases Allah, that he, being our leader and our Imam, be affected? I read you a verse from the Holy Quran. It says, قالوا إن يسرق فقد سرق أخ له من قبل فأسرها يوسف في قلبه. The story goes, when he put that goblet into the wheat sack of his brother, his brothers would reply by saying what? That if he has stolen, he had a brother before that stole before him. Meaning who? Yusuf. What does it say? It says, فَأَسَرَّهَا. That it felt heavy on his heart, Yusuf. Seeing this, hearing this, that it hurt the heart of Yusuf. So I want you to imagine, if Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman is amongst us, if he was to see us and we call ourselves of the followers of the 12 Imams, how much would he be hurt seeing us call ourselves followers, but follow other than that of the path of Rasulullah? Following the footsteps of the killers, for example. It all comes down to our actions. So we've understood now a few things, haven't we? The Imam is not in hiding. Very important. The Imam, there's a reason for his ghaiba. And one of the greatest reasons is that he's in preparation and he's able to go anywhere, to teach anything, to guide anyone towards the correct path. Can the Imam, question, is the Imam able to affect us on a daily basis? As in, if he was to see something that has gone wrong, do we have anything of our literature that showcases the Imam coming to the assistance of the Shia, for example, or the assistance of a jurisprudential argument, or that he guides a scholar if he has a particular suggestion, that he guides it in another manner? Because we need to understand, if we understand the Imam's amongst us, and we understand he's capable to bring up a community and guide an entire people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, can we say that even in the small notions, he corrects our mistakes? There's a story of one of the great scholars that we had by the name of Sheikh al-Mufid. Sheikh al-Mufid, marja of the time. The story, very, very, very famous story. Sheikh al-Mufid, one day, one of his muqallideen come towards him. Very much in a rush. He would say, Sayyid, Sheikhna, I would like to ask you a question. Sheikh would say, what's going on? He goes, my wife has just died in the operating theater, but she's still pregnant. Is there a way we can take that child from her? Or are we not allowed to touch her body or to cut up her body? Sheikh al-Mufid thinking to himself, based on the jurisprudence that we have, that we should never, or only in dire situations, ever have the ability to cut up a dead body. It has its sanctity. You must preserve it under every means. So understanding this, Sheikh al-Mufid would say, no. We believe that if the mother died, most likely the child has died. What I've concluded with is that we're not allowed to, jurisprudentially, to cut up a dead body. So this man leaves Shaykh al-Mufid. As he's leaving, messenger comes, says, Fulan, make sure that you run towards your wife. I'm the messenger from the side of Shaykh al-Mufid. Please go. And make sure that you cut the body and take the child out. And save him if you can. So this incident goes. Shaykh al-Mufid narrates, he says, that after a few months, the same man comes back towards me, holding in his hand the newborn baby boy. And when he came, he sat next to Shaykh al-Mufid. He says, by Allah, I've prayed for you so much, oh Shaykh. He says, why? He says, if had it been for your messenger that you sent after me, telling me that go quickly and extract that child from your wife, I would have had a sadness like no other, because I would have lost my wife and my child. Shaykh al-Mufid's thinking to himself, hold on, I didn't send anyone. At that very moment, he knew it was Imam Sahib al-Hasri wal-Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Shaykh al-Mufid says, he says, at that very moment, me as a scholar, I thought, how can I make such a mistake that I nearly caused someone's life to go? So he removes himself. He said, I will never give any more fatawas, because my fatawas all of a sudden have an inclination that it might cost someone their life. So he removes himself. He says, I can't. It's going to be too hurtful for me to give another fatwa that may cause harm to a human. And you'll find in that very night, Imam al-Mahdi would come towards Shaykh al-Mufid and he writes to him. He says, Ya Mufid, afid. Minka al-fatawa wa minna al-tasdeed. What does he say? He says, oh Shaykh al-Mufid, afid meaning benefit the people. Benefit the people. On you, what your wajib is to give the fatawa. And for us, we are a safety net for you. If ever you do something wrong, we'll make sure that we guide towards the right path. Imam Sahib al-Asr was-Zaman. So when a time comes when someone says that Imam doesn't have an effect, you reply. Many such stories. Many. In question. If we know he's amongst us, if we know that there is access to him somehow, is there a way that we can have access to him? How can me, in 2022, try and find a way that I can gain closeness and even see the Imam of my time? There's two ways to look at it. The first is a story which is narrated by a person which used to, what did he used to do? He used to sew garments. His name was Ali Rajab al-Khayyat. He used to sew for the scholars in Qom clothes. All of a sudden he says to himself, I want nothing in this world except to see the Imam of my time. So what does he do? Leaves his business, leaves everything, builds himself a mihrab just to pray. Pray, go, do necessities, come back, pray, worship. His only thing is to do what? Is to see the Imam of his time. That's all. Let this be a lesson to each and every one of us. So one day, they say that somehow he got an inclination or an inspiration to go towards the marketplace. And he had a strong feeling that he may see the Imam on that particular day. As he's been inspired, he says, I went to this marketplace, Suq al-Sarrafin, whereby, let's say, a person would go and sell pots and pans and whatnot. So he says, I'm just, chilling there, let's say. He says, I'm witnessing everything that's happening. As I'm witnessing, he says, amongst the things that caught my eye is an elderly lady holding a pot. And if you've ever been to, for example, Qom or Iraq, you'll see if there's one particular, let's say, shop, the whole street has the exact same thing. Exact same thing. It's a gold shop, the whole strip sells gold. If it's dahina or halwa, the whole strip is selling the same thing. So pots and pans, he says, I saw this old lady entering one shop, leave with the same pot. Entering another shop, leaving, same pot. Again, again, again. He goes, I'm following, what's going on? You know, she's going in and out. I have no idea what's going on. So he goes, I came closer towards one of the shop owners as she came closer to understand what's going on. So he says, I saw this man that she finally got to. He says, this man had the image of a very righteous person, that my heart became close to him. So I'm listening to the conversation. So she would say to him, oh man, I have a pot. I am sick. My medicine costs about 6 tumans. I need to sell this pot for 6 tumans just so I can afford my medicine. I need the pot, but it's my only option to attain 6 tuman. She says, I've gone to each person's shop. No one's offered me more than 5. All I need 6. That's all I need. So the elderly man, the shop owner, he would say, you know, I'd love to be of assistance, but before I give you a price, let me weigh it. Let me weigh it and I'll tell you how much. So Ali Rajab Khayyat says, I saw the man, he took it inside, then comes back out. Listen to this story carefully. He would say, he comes to the lady and he says, oh lady, I want to offer you 21 tuman. He says, this value of the pot is 22 tuman. I can sell it for 22. I will give you 21 tuman for it, and I'll make that 1 tuman profit, and I'm sufficed with that profit for myself. She's looking at him saying, are you like joking with me right now? No one's offered me more than 5. You want to offer me 21? He says, what's it to me? The rest are all thieves. I know that this has value, and I need to give you your value. It's your haqq. Do you want it? She's thinking to herself, I better not back out now. Takes her 21, takes the pot. You don't see a trace for that lady. Ali Rajab Khayyat, remember this personality that's watching this. He's saying to himself, all I want to do is meet the Imam of my time. So you can imagine a person, his all interaction is with the Maulanas, the people that he's sewing the garments for, in a religious environment. He's segregated himself only to worship Allah. He comes in, he comes to the elderly man, he says, oh man, what religion is this? He says, what do you mean? He goes, what religion? The lady just wanted 6. You could have had a mad profit. If you're thinking you're going to sell it for 22, look how much profit you would have made. He says, that's the haqq of the lady. What do you mean? Because, what do you mean? You could have made a profit. Look at the reply of this man. He says to Ali Rajab Khayyat, and Ali Rajab says, this is the thing that struck me. He says, with that filthy soul, you want to meet the Imam of your time? How does this person know that he's going to meet the Imam or wanted to meet the Imam? Of us will take advantage of people in a dire, difficult situation. Of us that will see an opportunity, that will be taking the haqq of someone, but will give us more benefits. The person tells him, he says, do not have a filthy soul. Know that each creature of Allah has its just rights, and you do not oppress anyone by taking their rights. So he says, I knew this person had a connection with the Imam. He says, upon weeks, I stayed with him. When I stayed with him, I understood that without a doubt, this person is righteous. I learned from him, saw his interactions, until a day came when, as I'm sitting in his presence, he said he had a back room. There was a person that came. He says, فَقَدْتُ قِوَاي, meaning as this person came, every single body part and limb, all of a sudden I felt like I had no power in them. Like a log I sat. As this personality came with the shop owner towards the back. They had a conversation and that person left. As he left, all of a sudden I gained my strength back. And I asked the owner, oh man, who's just come and visited you and left? He says, that's the person that you wanted to meet all these years. He says, let me go towards him, if that's the Imam of my time. He said, no. You can't go to him. You're not ready to meet him. But he actually came for you. Why? He says, he came for you to send a message to you and anyone else that wants to see the Imam. What's the message? He said, Rajab, you don't have to come to me looking for me, perform worship, to come and see me. He says, you do what you need to do, what Allah has bestowed upon you, and remove yourself from that which Allah has forbade. You don't have to come to me. He goes, by Allah, I will come and visit you. Message from who? Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. Don't worry about worshipping so much that just to see me. Do what's right. Don't do that which Allah forbade. And he goes, you have that lifestyle, I'll come to you. I'll come to you. Because there's situations whereby we may meet the Imam, but we wish that the Imam didn't meet us in that situation. When a scholar would come towards the Arif, he would ask him, is there a way that I can meet the Imam? He gives him a prescription to do. Set of worship, set of du'as. He said, if you do this every night, within 6 months, you'll see the Imam of your time. 6 months, you'll see him. And this is a Imam of a mosque. He says, 6 months, you'll see him. So it's no problem. Every day he's practicing these things. He's performing the dua. He's reciting the prescribed recitations. He's doing the acts of worship as indicated. 6 months go by, nothing. 7 months, nothing. 8 months, where is this guy? Goes back towards the Arif. Ta'al, Bismillah. You told me 6 months, I'll see the Imam. It's been 8 months now. He says, okay, I'll tell you. But first, you tell me about an incident that happened in the wudu area of your mosque. He says, how'd you hear about it? He says, don't worry, I have my people. He says, tell me what happened in the wudu area. He says, it's an embarrassing incident. He says, no, just tell me, please. I want to hear it from your mouth. He would say, he says, I was sitting down. I'm the Imam of the mosque. When I'm the Imam of the mosque, I sat down trying to make my wudu. And people come and go. They always ask questions from me. There's a person that came, elderly man from the Badia, the outskirts of town. He looked like he came from the desert. And he sat next to me. Assalamu alaikum Sayyid, wa alaikum assalam. He says, as I'm making wudu, he looks towards me. And he says, as he's looking towards me, he taps me. He says, Sayyid, just a word of advice. You have a ring on your little finger. It looks a little tight. I think, in my opinion and what I understand, either you move it a little so the water gets under it, or you remove it completely so the water for wudu comes. So he says, the Sayyid all of a sudden says, I was outraged. How can someone come from the outside, from the deserts, and teach me my religion? I'm the Imam of the mosque. As in, you're teaching me how to do my wudu? He says, I raised my voice on him. The people came and surrounded us. The person looks at me and goes, I apologize for trying to assist you. I'm going to just take myself out. I didn't mean any offense. So he leaves. So he says, that's the incident? He goes, that's the incident. The Arif is crying. He says, why are you crying? He says, that was your Imam. He goes, that was my Imam. He goes, that was your Imam. You saw him, not the way that you would have wanted. Anyone that comes across your path could be the Imam of your time. What will you be doing in that situation? How will you react if ever a time where someone questions that thing that you're doing? Or, for example, puts your ego in check? Will you react in a manner that would displease if that person was the Imam? Because if we act in a manner that we think to ourselves, anyone that crosses our path could be the Imam, we would never treat anyone in a bad manner. Would we? Having that in the back of our minds. When we understand this perspective, and I end on this, when we understand this perspective, that the Imam could be anywhere at any time, that he could cross our paths at any way, at any time, let's put ourselves in the scales of balance. If we say to ourselves, if this is the case, and this is the concept of ghaibah, and we want to learn from the concept, ourselves on the scales of religiosity. Where are we right now if the Imam was to come? Right now. The Imam comes to your front door, knocks the door. Right now. He knocks the door on you and he tells you, oh, such and such. Are you ready for me to come in? Would you say to the Imam, please, are you serious? We've been waiting for you all these years. Or will you be of those people that say, oh, Imam, just wait a few moments outside the door. Let me go fix a few things inside. Which one are we going to be? Imam says, I want to spend 24 hours with you. 24 hours, not more. I want to see how you wake up, how you pray, how you act and react towards your family members. I want to see how you act and react at work. I want to see your business transactions. How many of us will be like, let's hide those papers? Or hide that person. Don't let that person in our family speak to the Imam. How many of us will change our clothes? How many of us? How many of us, if the Imam asks us, give me your phone, let me look what you're looking at. Let me see what's in your DMs. Let me see what you're watching, who you're following, who you see as a role model. How many of us would just openly give it to the Imam? Or how many of us would just, keep hold and delete everything that's there? The understanding is Allah sees everything already. The Imam is amongst us. If any of those questions was a no, I'm not ready, you know exactly what to change in your lifestyle. You know exactly what to remove from your lifestyle and how to change. Because many of us will say, well, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Put that in the equation. If you think this is a particular thing that the Imam will be happy with what I'm doing, leave it. If you say to yourself, the Imam won't be happy with that particular thing, whether it be the clothes that I wear, the way that I wear the hijab, who I hang out with, where I go, how I pray, how I sleep at night, what time I go to sleep, the discussions that I have, the tongue that I have, anything. If you say the Imam would not like it, had he be hanging out with me, that's what you need to change. When we connect with the Imam, how many of us wake up in the morning and say to ourselves that I love my Imam so much that after Fajr, even though I'm sleepy, I want to pray 2 rak'at and give the reward to the Imam of my time? How many of us? How many of us, when we throw charity in our protection, throw extra charity for the protection of our Imam, Sahib al-Asri wa Sama? How many? How many of us go about our days not thinking, what's the Imam going through right now? Where's the Imam right now? As in the true understanding of ghaibah, is it's not us waiting for the Imam. What did he say? He says, I just need 313. Only. With these millions around the world, 313. You come to me and I'll come forward. Just 313. So we ask Allah that He allows us to guide ourselves, utilizing the commemoration and the teas that are dropped in these particular places in the nights of Muharram, in remembrance of his grandfather. That these teas are covenants between us and the Imam of our time, that we pledge an allegiance that, oh Imam, please assist us in identifying what's wrong in our lives and assist us in removing that which is wrong, that Allah may be pleased with us. And you would look towards us as your Shia, proudly saying, "They of my followers." Because it's not easy. We know the traditions that say it's as if you're holding a coal. At the end of time, to hold on to your religion is like holding on a burning coal. That's how difficult it is. And there's many difficulties in life. None as difficult as what occurred in the 10th of Muharram. Nothing. If ever a time that you have a tragedy in your life and your eyes see something that's tragic, think, what did the eye of Zainab see? If ever you lose a person, think to yourself, how much has Hussein lost? You find Abdullah al-Hussein, we remember, on this last night, before the Maqtal tomorrow, that you find Abdullah roaming in the tents, trying to see, is there anyone that will assist or help Abdullah? Anyone left to defend the religion? He looks at his companions from one side, laying on the plains of Karbala. Their bodies unrecognizable. He'd go inside the tents, he would see his son Ali al-Akbar chopped into pieces. He would see Qasim, that which remained of his brother Hassan. he would see many of the companions of his brothers that lay on the plains of Karbala. Imagine a person that stood alone on the plains of Karbala facing 30,000 strong that were in front of him, and yet he still had the strength, the bravery, and the stance to defend Islam. That a person that lost everything, yet he still stood on the plains of Karbala. They'll find in the tents as he went past them, he would hear a cry, but a very faint cry. Why was it a faint cry? Because there was a 6-month-old in the tent. No one left. 6-month-old in the tent. The tradition, what would it say? It says when that 6-month-old was there, when Hussein would grab him, the tradition says, كَانَ يَتَلَظَّى عَطَشًا. يَتَلَظَّى, do you know what it means? I want you to imagine when you take a fish out of water. What would happen? You see it struggling to breathe, struggling to survive, moving in such a manner. They would say that Rabi' of Hussein, the 6-month-old, when he would be lifted, كَانَ يَتَلَظَّى عَطَشًا. He would move in such a movement that he was struggling to be alive, that from that struggle he would faint and fall asleep because he couldn't handle it. And then when he would become awake again, he would be thirsty, he would be in need, he wanted any sort of nutrition. But you find his mother Rabab doesn't have any more milk within her bosom because she herself didn't have water for 3 days and 3 nights. This young 6-month-old, they would say, "Oh Hussein, is there ever a chance that you can give a water towards this 6-month-old? Ali al-Asghar, Abdullah al-Radi', this person, can you go towards the enemies and see if they would give this 6-month-old a drop of water so he lives?" So you'll find Hussein hurt as much as he was. Hussein had particular stances. Of them, that when he would ride out to war, he would ride on a horse. When he would go out to preach and lecture the people, he would go out on a camel. But all of a sudden you see Hussein walking by himself on the plains of Karbala. Where did he put the Radi'? It was the hot sun of Karbala. He would put the 6-month-old under his garments to shade that delicate body from the sun of Karbala. Hussein would walk towards the enemies on his feet. No horse, no camel, by himself in front of an army of 30,000. He comes in the middle. People are asking, has Hussein come to fight? Has Hussein come to preach? Has Hussein come to surrender to us? Has he come to ask for water again? They would say, what's Hussein doing? All of a sudden they see Hussein open his garments and take out a 6-month-old. He would say to them, oh, the army of Bani Umayyah. He would say, look at this 6-month-old. Look how much he's struggling. Would you not give him a drop of water so he survives? If, O Bani Umayyah, if there is a sin for us elders, for us men, for us grown-ups, if there was a sin, then what sin has this 6-month-old done that you do not quench his thirst? He says, I know that you're afraid. If you let me go towards the water, I may drink. Don't worry. I'll put this Radi' on the plains of Karbala. You take the 6-month-old. You quench his thirst. You give him the drop of water. Take him as long as he's okay. As long as my baby, 6-month-old, thirst is quenched. They would say the army broke into 2. Of the army, what would they say? They would say, why are we not quenching the thirst of a 6-month-old? As in, what is the sin that he's committed? Our war is with Hussein. Why is this 6-month-old not gaining any water? Why is he struggling? Why have we done such a thing? The other half of the army, what would they say? They would say, لا تبقوا لأهل البيت من باقية. Do not leave anyone from the family of Rasulullah alive. Do not leave any woman, men, no children, no infants, no babies alive from the family of Rasulullah. Kill them all. All of a sudden, the army breaks into two. You'll find they'll begin to fight amongst oneself. All of a sudden, Umar ibn Sa'd sees the situation. It's about to get out of hand. All of a sudden, there's a dispute. He looks towards Harmala. He would say, Harmala, اقطع نزاع القوم. Harmala, silence them. Make something happen. Do something that they silenced, not fighting amongst themselves. When he caught Harmala, you know what he asked him? He asked him, Harmala, what did you do in Karbala? He would say, oh Mukhtar, I shot 4 arrows. 4 of them missed. 3 of those arrows struck their targets. What were the arrows? He would say the first arrow that struck its target was the one that I struck in the eyes of Abbas. That arrow that hurt Aba Fadil, the one that he struggled to remove from his eye, the one that he fell face first and it went deeper. He would say that was the first. Then he would say what? The second that I struck in Karbala was the one that I struck on the heart of Hussein. He said it hurt Hussein so much that he couldn't remove it from the front. He had to remove it from his back. He says, then Harmala, what was the third arrow that you struck? He said, the third was the one that hurt me the most. Which one was that, Harmala? He says, it wasn't a normal arrow. You'll find the rest were normal. He says, this arrow had 3 points to it. The one that we used to kill camels. He says, I lined it in my bow. And he says, all of a sudden, on the plains of Karbala, Hussein had a 6-month-old. Umar ibn Sa'd would tell me, strike the arrow. He says, I saw Hussein lifting a 6-month-old that I saw his armpits. But then I saw the beautiful neck of the Radi'. He says, I struck the arrow. The arrow was in the air whilst Hussein was holding Radi'. He says that 3-pointed arrow struck the neck of the Radi'. I want you to imagine a father holding a young son, 6 months old. How soft is the skin? How beautiful is the face? How delicate is the body? Now imagine a 6-month-old's neck. How small is the neck? Imagine a 3-pointed arrow whilst he's in your hands. You'll find Hussein would take the blood and he would throw it towards the sky. He says, oh Allah, take until you are sufficed. All of a sudden, Hussein, they say, as the arrow struck Radi', I want you to imagine, when an infant hurts himself, who does he look at to support him and assist him? Who does he look at? The way that he would look at you, imagine, he doesn't know where the pain is coming from. Radi' would say, I feel something, but I don't know where it's coming from. He looks towards Abdullah. In this moment, the tradition says he was fluttering his hands and his feet like a bird, fluttering. As the arrow was in his neck, they would say, this is what hurts. They say, as the pain of the neck was there, in the final moments, Radi' would hug the neck of Abdullah. Hussein would grab Radi'. Imagine, he's thinking, what do I do? As in, I thought they would quench the thirst of a 6-month-old. I'm in the plains of Karbala. How can I go back towards the tent and show this 6-month-old to his mother with an arrow in his neck? How? Do I bury him here? Do I take him back? What do I do? They said Hussein stayed for moments in the plains of Karbala, still not knowing what to do. All of a sudden he turns around, comes back towards the Mukhayyam. What would happen? He takes him, puts him back under his garment, says, how do I show this? How do I show it towards the mother? How do I show it towards the children? How do I show it to Zainab? He would say, I got closer towards the tent, Who greets Imam al-Hussein first? You'll find a young Sakina who would come towards Hussein. She would say, I no longer hear the cries of my brother. Oh, my father, did you quench his thirst? Did you get him a drop of water? I don't hear him crying anymore. He would open the garments. He would take out a 6-month-old. The 6-month-old that had an arrow sticking out of his neck. He would say, oh Sakina, this is your brother. He would say, Sakina would say, Ya Abdullah, oh my father, take it away. I didn't expect to see Radhi' in such a... He would say, Sakina, who can handle this? There's only one person that can handle this. Masa'ib. Call me Zainab. Zainab would come, what is it, brother? He would say, Zainab, take the Radhi'. She would look, the Radhi' is there, lifeless with an arrow in his neck. She would say, Nahil walad anni ya Hussein. Don't let me see this. It's too hard. He says, I'll break the news to Rabab. Rabab is there waiting. There is a cradle that's being rocked at the moment, but empty. Where is Abdullah Radhi'? Where's Ali Asghar? They say Hussein only buried one person in Karbala. One person. They say Hussein is so small, Abdullah Radhi', the 6-month-old Ali Asghar. They would say the way he would dig the grave of Radhi' was with the edge of his sword. That's how small Abdullah Radhi' was. Ali Asghar, he said, you can imagine a father burying his 6-month-old. I want you to imagine, how did Hussein bear to put a 6-month-old in a hole? How can Hussein bear? I don't know how he took the arrow out of his neck. I want you to imagine how a father is able to put sand on the lifeless face of a 6-month-old. That's not the tragedy. I'll get to the tragedy. What's the tragedy? On the plains of Karbala, the tragedy lies after they trample on the body of Abu Abdullah. What happens on the plains of Karbala as they're about to leave? The army of Bani Umayyah about to leave. There was one group of people that says, we're not leaving. Why? They would say every single other clan here has a head to take back to Yazid. They say, we don't have a head. We want a head. Umar ibn Sa'ad says, I've decapitated everyone. Every one of the companions, I've taken their heads. Every one of the family of Rasulullah, I've taken their heads. There's no bodies with heads anymore. He would say, I remember Hussein going behind the tents. He would say, I saw Hussein going behind the tents. Umar ibn Sa'ad doesn't dig the grave. What does he do? He has a spear in his hand. He pokes the earth with the spear. Pokes the earth. Pokes the earth. Until one of the pokes into the earth, he lifts something. What was that something? Was a 6-month-old. I ask you, if there was a 3-pointed arrow, how was the head still attached to the body? How? Umar ibn Sa'ad, did you decapitate the head of a 6-month-old? How did you put that head on a spear? How?
सीने के ऊपर दरी आंखें खुली سوچ رکھی خون میں نہائے ہوئے مارتے دست و پا ڈھونڈتے حسن نسا جاتے ہے پیش خدا خون میں نہائے ہوئے آتے ہے اصغر علی خون میں نہائے ہوئے کہتی تھی ام رباب آؤ میرے شیر خوار جھولا تیرا خالی پڑا ہچکوں گی کس کو میں جھولا تیرا خالی پڑا ہچکوں گی کس کو میں سوئے ہو کیا چین سے آؤ میرے شیر خوار ہائے تیری کم سینی 3 دنوں کی تھی پیاس ظالموں نے رحم نہ کیا آؤ میرے شیر خوار یاد تجھے کرتی ہے بہن سکینہ تیری آکے لگ جا او گلے آؤ میرے شیر خوار رات اندھیری جو ہے جنگلوں سنسان ہے ڈرنا نہ تو قبر میں آؤ میرے شیر خوار میرے لاڈلے کہاں ہو سینے تمہیں لگاؤں اصغر میں تیری ماں ہوں آ جاؤ چاند میرے تیری پیاس میں بجھاؤں اصغر میں تیری ماں ہوں آ جاؤ چاند رے تیری پیاس میں بجھاؤں اصغر میں ہوں بیٹا تمہارا قاتل میرے سامنے کھڑا ہے جانے کیوں ہنس رہا ہے چادر بھی لٹ چکی ہے منہ کس طرح چھپاؤں اصغر میں تیری ماں ہوں آ جاؤ چاند میرے تیری پیاس میں بجھاؤں تیری ماں ہوں آ جاؤ چاند میرے تیرے جھولے کو سکینہ رو رو کے چومتی ہے تجھے گھر میں ڈھونڈتی ہے تیری موت کی خبر میں کیسے اسے سناؤں اصغر میں تیری ماں ہوں آ جاؤ چاند میرے تیری پیاس میں بجھاؤں اصغر ہاں میری جان جا رہی ہے یہ سوچ سوچ اصغر اس پھول سے گلے پر یہ تیر کیسے جیلا بہنوں کو کیا بتاؤں اصغر میں تیری ماں ہوں آ جاؤ چاند میرے تیری پیاس میں بجھاؤں اصغر میں تیری ماں ہوں آ جاؤ چاند میرے تیری پیاس میں بجھاؤں اصغر میں تیری ماں ہوں آ جاؤ چاند نیزے سے گر رہا ہے ننھا سا سر تمہارا دل روتا ہے ہمارا میرے ہاتھ تو بندھے ہیں سر کس طرح اٹھاؤں اصغر میں تیری ماں ہوں آ جاؤ چاند میرے تیری پیاس میں بجھاؤں اصغر میں تیری
ماں ہوں آ جاؤ لان تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں میں تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں میں تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں میں تجھے میں خواب میں اصغر تجھے میں خواب میں اصغر تجھے لوری بھی سناؤں تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں میں جھولاؤں تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں لوٹاؤ سفر سے کہ بڑی دیر ہوئی ہے لوٹاؤ سفر سے کہ بڑی دیر ہوئی ہے بےتاب ہو کب سے تجھے بےتاب ہو کب سے تجھے سینے سے لگاؤں تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں میں تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں میں تجھے کوئی مجھے بتلاتا نہیں تیرے نشانی، کوئی مجھے بتلاتا نہیں تیرے نشانی، برسات میں تیروں کی، اے برسات میں تیروں کی کہاں ڈھونڈنے جاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں میں، تجھے تو سوچا تھا تیری سالگرہ گھر میں کروں گی، سوچا تھا تیری سالگرہ گھر میں کروں گی، تقدیر یہ کہتی ہے، تقدیر یہ کہتی ہے تیرا سوگ مناؤں، تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں میں، تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں، تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں، میں خواب میں اصغر تجھے، میں خواب میں اصغر تجھے لوری بھی سناؤں، تجھے جھولا جھولاؤں میں، تجھے
رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين وسيد الوصيين، السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى أم المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى، السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين، وعلى علي بن الحسين، وعلى أولاد الحسين، وعلى أصحاب الحسين، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبو الفضل العباس. السلام عليكم يا شهداء كربلاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء، يا سلطان أبا الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا، كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدينا في يوم الجزاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، سيدي الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان، السلام عليك يا إمامي وإمام الإنس والجان، عجل الله لك ما وعدك من النصر وظهور الأمر. السلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة ورحمة الله وبركاته.